Good day, everyone. This is Piney Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and here at DDO Players. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculata.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
And hello. And also, please welcome our Bonnie Lass, who occasionally visits us, Bonnie View.
Booyah!
Booyah.
Hello.
We don't need no stinking fireworks on the 4th. We have lasers.
No, don't need
Darn it.
Pew, pew, pew. Laser light shows. They're better for the environment, and they're pretty, and they make cool sounds.
Actually,
they don't set pine leaf needles on fire.
Yeah.
Unless you like get it out of magnifying glass and like aim it right at them, then you're cool.
I don't think I've never seen a laser light show, which is rather strange because they were introduced and really were big back when I was young.
The coolest.
We know which rock concerts you haven't been to.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just about to say one of the coolest concerts I have ever been to was a Pink Floyd tribute band that did lasers. It was freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Lasers during the wall. It was awesome.
Yeah, Pink Floyd and Tool. I've seen them do laser light shows there. So, 4th of July lasers. Pew, pew, pew.
Right. Then let's head into our game news. And the big, or at least medium-sized news for this week is that Crystal Cove has returned.
Arr! Or ARG, depending on...
That was a pretty good pirate, actually.
Yeah, I was trying to think that. I thought we needed the other 25 letters of the alphabet. No.
It depends on how much Crystal Cove you've already done.
You're excited. It is running through July 10th.
I think it's really awesome for newer players because they cut out... They really lowered the opening rate for starting off the... What do they call that? The vault? The dungeon? I don't know what they call it, but...
Just going to mention that, yeah, it is 500 on all servers except for Wayfinder, which is set at 250.
Why is Wayfinder set at 250?
Because it's just the tiny little small server. That
open up Wayfinder's LFM list and there's like 3 things.
Yeah, I was on Wayfinder last week and I looked at the server and I'm like, wow, there's 3 people on with me.
No.
They pretty much talk amongst themselves.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
How is it that this, which by what you just said is the smallest of servers, why are they the ones who for the longest time had lag?
Nobody really knew why, Pineleaf. That's a question we don't ask.
Because there's instances where really hardcore lag has happened on other servers, and then I go to Wayfinder and I'm fine.
Okay.
So this lag thing, it's very mysterious. It's like, going underneath, looking behind the curtain, and you have to look through a periscope or something because you can't stare directly into its light.
You need a chronoscope then.
Yeah, you need a chronoscope to even look at game lag.
It's like the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yes.
Right. So let's head into the DDO Chronicle 195. Anything interesting this week?
In our community spotlights, the mysterious Kargon speaks to the press, and the press would be DDO Gamer. Jeff over at DDO Gamer got an interview with the mysterious Kargon, and they talked about his love of ham, so go read that to find out about Kargon.
Okay.
Pineleaf's like, what? Who?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, all the ham, any ham you've ever encountered in the game, tasty ham, that's Kargon.
That's, yeah.
Got Kargon to thank for it.
Pineleaf probably doesn't know the whole Kargon story.
Apparently not.
Because I bet you probably have never paid attention to the forums, have you?
Let us just say, not much. Probably because, especially during my early years of playing DDO, the forums just refused to let me in. And so therefore, I've gotten a bit of a reluctance to go to the forums because of all those years of it just not working at all.
All those years of coniferous oppression.
Yeah.
Let's just say Kargon is a player who really loves his ham.
Okay.
That's all you need to do. But you see, you can click over and go to DDO Gamer and read the interview, and then you'll know everything you need to know about Cargon.
All right.
Yeah.
And there's a player named Dancing Octopus, which is an awesome name, who has written a poem, and it is the Fresh Prince of Deathworm.
Wow.
Fresh.
You have to read this. It's hilarious.
And I was like, octopus, is that like an owlbear, but it's like part hawk and part octopus?
Yeah, which is kind of terrifying if you think about it.
Should the owlbear welfare league be concerned about the octopus
All
too?
right.
That's on a Cthulhu type level, I think. Where
well, we have the packs with great old ones now, so maybe that's where the octopus came from.
I'm going to say,
All
I think
right.
the old ones are rising. I'm just going to not say this. But yes, so definitely check out the Fresh Prince of the Deathworm. It is hilarious.
Okay, let's see. Maybe we're not going to try the old tradition over at Loto Players News.
Well, see, I was going to ask you if you wanted to do a dramatic reading of this by me.
You want to see if I could survive it?
Unplanned. This is unplanned, folks, but sure,
Yes.
go for it.
Try it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pine Leaf Needles presents the Fresh Prince of the Deathworm.
Now, this is a dungeon all about how two levers got turned upside down, and I'd like to take 60 minutes, hold those cools right there. I'll tell you how I became the hater in a town called Argulair. In West Evening Star, leveled and raised on the XP train was where I spent most of my days, chillin' and min-maxin', relaxin' all cool, and all shooting some Death Lords outside of the school when a couple of cools who were up to no good started making knockdowns in my neighborhood. I got one little knockdown and my Draco Lickman's rage flared. She said, "Here is some lag now, stay out of my lair." I begged and pleaded with her day after day, but she slowed down my gameplay and stopped me on my way. The rage started sucking, so I filed a help ticket. But the TeamSpeak one said, "Hey, might as well kick it." Warlock class, yo, this is bad. Lag generated clear as a champagne glass. Is this what the people of Argy's Lair living like? This still gonna level me, right? But wait, I hear there's flogs, ingots. All that is the type of place that dude would really summon a Hellcat? Oh, don't think so. I'll see when I get there. I hope they're prepared for the Dracolich in Argy's Lair. Well, the Falconry came down, and when I came out, there was a dude still standing there who didn't say out. I ain't trying to con it yet. I just got here. I sprang with a quickness like a chain lightning, disappeared. I whistled for a cool tanker, and when there came near, the jump room was done, and we had finished the mirror. If anything I could say, fast mirrors is rare, but I thought, nah, forget it. Yo, on to Argy's Lair. I had some flogs around 7 or 8, and I yelled to the leader, "Yo home, another run later." I looked at the flogless kingdom. I was finally aware Mortal Fear was already nerfed, so screw you, Argy's Lair.
You win, DDO.
That's right, screw you, Argy's Lair.
That was awesome, Pine.
No mortal fear, no cry.
Oh boy, that was
that was awesome, Pine. I cannot believe you did that without actually reading that beforehand.
yeah, that
was
that
amazing.
was a. I was trying to read a poem especially a poem like that. It's not exactly one that's easy to read cold.
Oh, that was amazing. So check that out in the forums once again. Player by the name of Dancing Octopus wrote that. Oh, that was awesome. Elsewhere in the Chronicle, fan site news, DDO is taking a look at spells for sorcerers, wizards, and warlocks. Click over and listen or watch episode 434. Damsels of DDO go through a mirror darkly, so check out their exploits in Evening Star and the Mirror Darkly. And Even Notes feels the pain of finding rare loot in a new blog post, and I am right there with you, Even. I feel your pain. I know what you're talking about. Stupid RNG, anyway.
Yeah, she is to Jack Jabber's blade as you are to Quivers.
Exactly. I think, that is a good way to put it. And that pretty much is our Chronicle for the week.
Very well, thank you. And what exactly is Von 6?
It's the raid. Well, the Vault of Night quests. Have you done any of those?
Oh, the Vault of Night.
We have done the first one.
Okay, so there's six whole things you can do in the entire Vault of Night storyline. The first 4 things are quests, and they flag you for a raid. And the Vault of Night raid is one of those special ones where you have it's like a raid. It's a raid to get to a raid.
Okay, so it's the Tier 1 raid. Think of
so Von 5 is like part 1 raid, and it's the one that takes a lot longer. It has tons of experience, so you'll see people doing it as dailies when they're in epic levels, and the first time they do it, people tend to try to go for bravery bonus because it has a lot of experience rewarded when you finish Von 5, and you have to do Von 5 to get into Von 6, which is the one that gives all the named loot. Right. So Von 5 you have to do to get into Von 6. Von 5 doesn't have named loot. You might be able to get a couple things used for epic crafting system. And then Von 6 is the super raid part of it. It's short, and it has the named loot.
Now, that reminds me, there is in Lotro, there's a raid called Heligrod that is, these days, I forgot how many raids that consists of. There are at least 2 wings that are 2 separate raids, and you have to, I think it's 2, 3, maybe, actually I think it's 3. So you have to complete all 3 of those, and after you do that, you unlock the 24-player raid, because those are 3 small raids, only 12 characters each, and then unlocks the 24-character raid that you do where you go and face this enormous dragon, so...
Actually, one interesting thing about Von 6 is I think it was the very first quest raid added to the game where players could confront an actual dragon in combat. So until they released Vault of Night, you didn't get to actually fight any dragons.
Oh, so that was when the first dragon was. In this
you got to see Asakax, I think it is, in Misery's Peak, go walking around and stuff.
Right.
But you didn't get to actually go head-to-head with any kind of dragon.
Right. So some of those that we see that are at lower levels then were added afterwards.
Well, which ones? The ones like in the heroic.
Obviously the one I did recently with Drac obviously is relatively new since that came in the most recent update. But I think there were at least 1 or 2 other dragons run into.
The first one I think that we fought, the first time you fought a dragon was probably Mired and Kobolds.
Yeah, that came later.
Yeah,
because that's a level 15 quest.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
Vault of Night, I think that came out when they raised the level cap to 12. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. It might have still been 10 when that came out. But it was, at the time it came out, it was an in-game raid. And I think its base level is 10, I think.
All right. So, and you said it was a relatively short raid, or did you say it was?
Von 5, the part you have to do to get to it can take a while because it has many different challenges and puzzles and different things you have to coordinate to do to get done. And then you have your own little battle there. And once you win that, then you're allowed to enter.
Right.
Into Von 6. And that can be done really quickly. It pretty much depends on whether or not your party is remotely prepared and coordinated to do it.
Okay.
Some people can solo it. And I think it's one of the few raids that's actually got a timer on it.
Ah.
So it's like if you don't win in 45 minutes, you auto-fail or something.
All right. So then you are then prepared to answer this week's question, which is how many pen and paper turns would it take to get through Von 6?
Oh my gosh. That's a lot. Because wait, one turn is like, a round is supposed to be like 6 seconds, right?
Is it still 6 seconds? I thought they... Because they changed, they slightly adjusted going from edition to edition, so...
It depends on your party. It really does. Because you can do it in like under 10 minutes, or you could take half an hour. Or you can never finish it because it's just such a mess. Sometimes you can get in there with a party and everything just goes pear-shaped.
It's roughly, in pen and paper, it's roughly 6 seconds because you're supposed to be able to do 10 rounds in a minute.
Okay, it is still 10 rounds in a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know that...
I think it's somewhere between...
minute or something like that.
So if you want to go 6 seconds, 10 rounds a minute...
So I'd say it'd be like 60 rounds if you had a nice fast run of on 6.
I'm saying at least 60 or 70. Yeah, it's going to take forever.
But I think it's like if you went more than 300 rounds, you auto fail.
Yeah, but then you have usually when you're doing a DDO quest, you have some points between the combats where you might be doing puzzles or something like that, which would take where the round.
Well, Von 6 itself doesn't have puzzles.
Okay.
It's just the Von 5 does.
So it's constant combat then for Von 6?
Yeah, but there's little parts where you can take a little time out.
Okay.
But then there are like these three different little islands. They usually treat them like the bases on a baseball diamond.
Right.
And each one has a freet guarding it. There is a pillar. There are 3 different pillars that kind of are the last lock gate key to get into combat, to reach the dragon for combat. And you basically have to disarm those 3 pillars at the same time to get in and fight the dragon. So that's all combat based, doing those 3 things. But sometimes people have problems with this quest because you have to split your raid party. It forces you to split the party.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So we all know how well that usually goes for people. So if you have any one particular island or base that is having problems while you're doing this quest, you could just fail the whole thing because everything goes pear-shaped. It's one of the raids where it takes a little bit of coordination amongst the 3 different groups, but you're separated.
Oh, coordination while being separated.
Yes.
Oh, fun.
Yes, because it's kind of like you have to kill things close together and destroy the pillar locks close together to succeed. And then everybody piles on and fights the dragon, and then they usually win, and it's all yay. So if you get to the dragon, that's pretty much your worries are over. You just only have to worry about getting incinerated by fire breath, But that's normal dragon problems.
Yes.
Those
are the normal dragon problems.
Hashtag dragon problems.
Hashtag dragon problems.
Right. Well, now that once the dragon is slain, you need to take the loot to the store in order to buy stuff. So what's on sale this week?
We have 25% off Epic Destiny's Tomes of Fate, the Key of Destiny, Fast Travel, and select Epic Adventure Packs. The free sample of the week is the Lasting Potion of Resist Electricity. You will get 10 of those, and you can use the code 5 times. Your coupon code is NoZapMe. Which
I'm so glad they got that feature in the store finally.
Is awesome code. NoZapMe. And
Yay!
I misspoke again. I do that every time they do this. It's a plus 10 lasting potion of resist electricity, and you get 5 potions, but you can only use the code 1 time. I wanted to make sure I was clear on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I always do that, but yes, NoZapMe. Best vanity code ever, Turbine. Well played. Well played.
No, my favorite vanity code was from the old system, but it was the Got Wood for when they had
that one was
Lesser
good
Hearts
too.
on sale. That was my favorite.
That one was
priceless.
Let's see what's coming out from the dungeon. Neverwinter lands on the PS4 on July 19th.
We did talk about this a couple weeks ago. They announced this when they did the Meltdown Comics announcement for the new storyline. They did say that Neverwinter was going to land on the PS4, but we didn't know a date. They just said sometime this summer. Well, you don't have long to wait. As you said, July 19th. There will also be on July 12th, you can jump in if you purchase the Onyx Head Start pack, and that is going to be $19.99, and that will give you Head Start access. You will get a weapon pack, 20 enchanted keys, an adventure helper pack, a legacy weapon, you get an Onyx horse mount, and a Onyx adorned title. And once again, the big news about this, though, is it is going to be free to everybody on the PS4. You do not need you do not need a PSN subscription for this one like you normally do for MMOs that are on the PS4.
What? Like even gnomes can play it?
Even gnomes can play it. Gnomageddon will come to PS4.
They'll let just anybody play Neverwinter nowadays.
That's right. So check it out on PS4 July 19th.
Then let's head out to the theater area where I've heard a rumor that they're looking to cast someone for the main role in the Dungeons & Dragons movie.
Oh,
that bad?
Have you talked about the Dungeons & Dragons movie yet? Because I can talk about it.
Yeah, you go first. I
have opinions.
I have some opinions too. You go first. Punny, what do you think about the Dungeons & Dragons movie from the news we've heard so far?
Warner Brothers.
Well, so far, I have gone from your hopes and high expectations that it could be the best Dungeons & Dragons movie ever to saying, are they going to try to compete to maybe try to be the worst?
Well, they have to work really hard probably to be the worst because Warcraft came out. You know, I think Warner Brothers needs to take a cold hard look at Warcraft and learn from that mistake.
Yeah. But, yeah, Deadline is reporting.
Wait, I haven't seen Warcraft, so you're saying it's not good?
It was awful.
Oh, it was awful. Okay, so I won't put it on my calendar then.
And here's my thing. Now, when Dungeons & Dragons movies were made for sci-fi kind of things and low budget and stuff, some of them I actually enjoyed. And I know there was a previous theatrical release Dungeons & Dragons movie, which I kind of enjoyed. There were bits and pieces that I thought were cute, but for the most part, it didn't really do it for me as even a fantasy movie. But I think that's the problem is they're trading on the brand of Dungeons & Dragons. And I think Dungeons & Dragons in itself is probably a very personal experience for people who play it. The characters that they get involved with are their own characters being the hero and the adventure. So when you try to translate that to a movie, unless you're doing something like a hardcore Harry version of like your Dungeons & Dragons movie, which, you don't have the viewer being the hero. So then it just becomes another fantasy film. And so they've got to really do a quality fantasy film.
You need a good
really
story.
Smart writing is going to make it happen. Really great direction and stuff. And
yeah. But Deadline is reporting that they're talking with Ansel Elgort to be the star, and a lot of people are going to say, who? And that's exactly my point.
Well, I'll have to... because I was saying the same thing, but that's not much in my case.
Yeah, he was in The Fault in Our Stars, and lately he was in the Divergent series of movies.
But they're making him the main warrior?
When
I look at that guy, I don't think main warrior.
Exactly.
I look at him.
Is he a dexterity warrior?
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking with this. And they also said that they are setting the movie up to be centering around him as a warrior and his band of mystical creatures as they embark on a dangerous journey to find a mythical treasure.
See, all of this says mystical creatures as his band says CGI to me, and then I'm ready to scream.
Yeah, it's
because if they're depending on CGI to make the movie great, it's just oh my gosh.
I think what they're gonna try to do with this, and would be the smart thing for them to do, but they have to be careful with how they do it, is I think they're trying to aim for the people that do not play Dungeons & Dragons and maybe can get them to start playing Dungeons & Dragons.
Maybe
So I don't think it's aimed at us.
I think it's aimed at teenagers, based off of who they cast.
Yeah, so I don't know. And I don't know what they're doing. And the writer...
he looks like a ranger more than a warrior.
Yeah, and he's not a warrior. He's not a warrior. Vin Diesel, he's a warrior.
The writer they've tapped for this, his recent movie that he's written is The Conjuring 2.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it just gets worse.
No, it gets worse.
It gets worse.
My god!
So...
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, okay, when this movie does come out, I think the only way I'm going to get through it is if I come up with some kind of drinking game.
Yeah.
Go see it with a bunch of people.
So, we'll see.
And then maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I have a feeling that the only way that I'm ever going to see this movie is if it was later put up on Prime, and then I said, okay, at least I won't have to pay.
Yeah.
You know, Warner Brothers, I'm just saying this. I'm kind of thinking this is not going to be in theaters very long, so Warner you might get your wish.
Because I read on this. I'm thinking Warcraft. I'm thinking Ghostbusters reboot. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible.
Yeah,
it's going to be scary.
We could be pleasantly surprised, though. I mean, I don't know. It could turn out well, but
it could be the next Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
The more and more I read about this, the more I'm just like, stop it. Just stop it now.
But yeah,
just
good scripts.
Kill it
Make
before
it
it starts.
Better than Conjuring 2, please.
So I guess we'll see.
Like if they got someone like Christopher Perkins to write it, or like somebody who was actually written for Dungeons and Dragons before.
And you would think that
to write a script,
somebody at Wizards,
or at least the treatment that it's based on,
right? And you would think somebody at Wizards is going to have some input on this. I would hope. I would think so.
I have a feeling that they're going to be crying.
Yeah, well, every time I read a news story about this, I cry. So
they'll still have to pimp it, though. That's going to be like crying,
they will
crying into their lattes.
Yeah, they're trying. Yeah, whenever they say how great a movie it is, they're clenching their teeth, trying to.
Yay! The Dungeons and Dragons is coming out.
So I guess we'll see. There's still no date on when it's coming out or anything, and we're slowly starting to get more and more information. So I guess we'll see. Right now, this is like early talks. So yeah, it could. I guess we'll have to regroup after it's out and we've watched it, and then we can talk about it and say how wrong we were, or we can say how right we were. Which I'm kind of thinking that's how right we were, but we'll see.
Very well.
Keeping an open mind, we'll see.
Yes, we'll see. We'll see.
Right. And Sirenscape has released the official Gen Con sound set. What's a sound set?
Well, Pinely, a sound set is, if you're not familiar with Sirenscape, they do tabletop audio. So they have a player that you can get for your Dungeons and Dragons game, your Pathfinder game, and basically any RPG that you're playing. They have a sound set that you can use. It might be the sound of a battle. It might be the sound of, a tavern, stuff like that. It's just something to draw you into your game more.
Sort of like Battle Bards?
Like Battle Bards?
Pretty much, yes. But Sirenscape...
Oh my gosh, I just shared Pine Leaf's brain. Whoa.
You did. That was like freaking me out for a second. I'm like, whoa. Whoa, they're the same person.
Oh man, I suddenly hate Loads for Raids now. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, but Sirenscape was around first. I will give them that, but not saying anything bad about Battle Bards. We love the Battle Bards guys.
Oh, we love the Battle Bards guys.
But anyway, so Sirenscape has done the official Gen Con sound set. So what this is you download this and you can be like you're at Gen Con all year round. You can hear sounds from the vendor hall. There will be a dragon that is going to attack the vendor hall.
Oh. I was wondering, because it's the official Gen Con sound set, and I know that they do like that live dungeon thing at Gen Con, that if it somehow was sounds that might have been inspired by whatever this live dungeon
There is sounds from True Dungeon in here as well.
Ooh.
And you can also, what happened is last year, the Sirenscape had a booth, and they were doing a contest that you could do your best dragon sound, and the winner was going to be in this sound set, and somebody won, and I apologize, I did not put that in. Oh, yes, I did. The attendee of Gen Con was Simon Cantwell. He did a terrifying vocal of a dragon attacking Gen Con, and you can hear that in this sound set. You can head over to Sirenscape's site and download this for $3.99, and you can be at Gen Con all year around.
So Simon Cantwell actually can dragon well.
You can. And this year they are also doing another contest at their booth. If you happen to go to Gen Con, they are looking for voices of shiny angels of the heavens or maybe some foul beast of the underworld. So it sounds like they're going to do another soundscape set. Oh. And you can be featured in that if you're at Gen Con and you maybe go to their booth.
Oh, man. Is Mithery going to Gen Con? Because she's like shiny voices of angels.
Ooh, I should have her record something for me, and yes. I could give it to him. Ooh, I'll write that down.
Yeah, shiny voice of Mithery's. You need they'll need to cut out the whole angel business and just be like, it's Mithery.
Oh, yes.
Let's see what's on the tabletop, because we have so much time and so little to do. Wait a minute. Strike that. Reverse it. Seriously, though, our first story is that DDO Players King Chocolate Review.
Pine Leaf with the Willy Wonka reference.
Yay! And classic Willy Wonka, none of that newfangled Johnny Depp stuff.
That's right. Darn it all.
He was like, get off my lawn! I want Gene Wilder!
Well, yeah, Gene Wilder was good weird. I thought, yeah, because the other one was a little bit.
He wasn't creepy weird. He was good weird. You could tell that Gene Wilder was a mad genius kind of person.
Right.
So we've established the fact that we have found a movie that you have actually seen. Then finally,
whoa!
Which that is the most important thing about this conversation right now, is we have found a movie you have watched.
I very definitely have seen the Gene Wilder version at least twice.
That's impressive. It's didn't think we would find a movie that you have actually viewed.
Yeah, I only saw the Johnny Depp version once. Yes.
But yet you still haven't seen Labyrinth, or you still haven't seen The Goonies.
Right.
Small steps, finally.
Small steps.
Big steps. Loompa
But people
steps.
yeah, that's right. People are probably confused. They're like, why are they talking about Willy Wonka? Well, of course, Willy Wonka made chocolate. It does all tie in. It does all tie in. Somehow, weirdly, it ties in. We have managed to do it. And I did kind of tie it in my review for this, because as a kid, I love this movie, and I wanted Oompa Loompas. I mean, who doesn't want an Oompa Loompa, you know?
I thought you wanted a golden ticket.
Well, yeah, you have to have the golden ticket to get the Oompa Loompas.
Okay, you got that point.
So, because, Charlie was good, and he didn't do any, well, spoiler alert, he did sample something, but anyway.
Yeah.
Watch the movie and talk. But about the board game King Chocolate, this is from Mayfair Games, and you are in charge of a chocolate company, and you are trying to make the most money making chocolate. Seems pretty easy, right? It's actually a 5-step process to make your chocolate. And that's where the game gets interesting. What it is it's a tile-laying production chain game. So it's pretty much a very European-style game. And the best thing that just blew my mind about this game is, as I said, it is a 5-step process to make the chocolate.
The chocolate river makes it smooth.
But the problem is you can only do 4 steps out of the 5. So you have to rely on the other players that are playing the game to help you along.
Like they want to do that.
And that's where it gets really interesting, because you all need to help each other. But yet the problem is
it's not a co-op.
Right. You have to decide, okay, how much do I actually want to help him? Is it going to hurt me more to help him now or help him later? So that's where the strategy of it comes in. And I even said this in the review I did. I'm not a big European-style game fan, but I really enjoy this. And that's because just that aspect of, it's like, okay, I have to help him, but yet he has to help me, but neither one of us want to help each other. So it's like, that's where the strategy comes in, because you're like, okay, Do I wait? Do I let him, let the other player screw up and lay a tile and I can play off of it? So yeah, there is some really deep strategy that is involved in this. It's a very, very fun game, which did surprise me, as I said, because I'm usually not a European-style game player. But I did enjoy this. And I know I've read a couple other reviews that people have done, and the biggest complaint people had about the game is the color of the game. It's very dark and kind of dreary.
Chocolatey?
And chocolatey, exactly. But as I said in the review, it makes sense. Because what color is chocolate? Chocolate is usually dark.
Brown.
So it works really well in the theme. So check it out. It's from Mayfair Games, called King Chocolate.
I see those like hexagonal pieces of the game, and it makes me think of organic chemistry rather than chocolate.
I can see that, yes. But that's what you're kind of doing, because you're doing these steps, the 5 steps to make chocolate, and
building
you're basically
chocolate molecules.
and you're building the molecules. Yeah. So,
well.
But yeah, really interesting game. Once again, came from Mayfair Games, and we want to thank them for sending us the review copy over. I had fun with it.
And now it is Dungeon Time. And that's because Dungeon Time has launched a Kickstarter, which is being produced by Aris Games. And what do you know about this?
We talked about it last week, that the Dungeon Time Kickstarter was coming. It is here now. It has 9 days left, and they are way over their goal. Their goal was $5,000. Currently, as we record this, they are at $20,902. So working on those stretch goals.
And this is a cooperative game with a 5-minute time limit, which is where the time is, where everybody has to play their cards. They got 5 minutes in order to get this right. And then afterwards, when you resolve it, you decide, all right, did we mess this up while we were... It's amazing how many things you can do wrong when you're trying to act fast.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, because, like I said, you have 5 minutes to go through and do what you need to do. And it is a hard and fast 5-minute rule, because there is a sand timer that you have when you're playing the game. And once that sand is done, you're done.
Okay. Though you can
picking up people.
Exactly.
You can use other timepieces also, of course.
Well, yeah, you could. Yes.
Right.
But yes, so if you've ever wanted to run through a dungeon in 5 minutes and see how well you do, now is your chance. And it is either a solo or there is a cooperative mode for it.
Yeah,
well.
I think the cooperative mode will be more challenging, because it's the communicating with the other players and trying to get everything down right. Though they probably have stricter victory conditions, I would guess, for the solo mode in order.
I would assume so.
Because I think the more people you have, the more difficult it is going to be able to communicate with each other and say, I need this, because the number of times someone could think you want something, put it down, and then, oh, no, we...
Yeah.
Doing a dungeon in 5 minutes, that sounds to me like they're teaching everybody how to zerg through dungeons.
I didn't think about that, but you do have a valid point.
Ooh, maybe I'm liking this game. Maybe I like this.
You dirty, dirty zerger.
Very well. Then we have an announcement from Yellow, who announced that they will have a power-up expansion for King of New York.
King of New York and King of Tokyo just keeps pumping out the expansions and the gameplay. But you got to give Yellow credit, because it's an awesome design game and a very fun game to play.
Yes. Now, do you think it is the best design by the designer?
I would say Richard Garfield has done some really good stuff, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. He also did Robo Rally, so.
Right. I would say I like King of New York and King of Tokyo better than Robo Rally, which I might get some hate mail by saying that. But gotta be honest. Yes, this is set for release in October, and the Power Up expansion is going to do pretty much the same thing that the King of Tokyo power-up did. You are going to get a couple new characters, and you're going to get some new power-up cards to add to your game.
And that's it for Tabletop. So now let's go into the Bonnie View section. And Bonnie, have anything you wish to speak about?
I have a section now. Wow. The only thing I have to speak about is to plug my Twitch show, Ladies' Night from Arganesson, every Thursday night, an ungodly late hour. High Leaf is sleeping by then.
Yes.
Thursday night starting at midnight Eastern. I group with a bunch of ladies who play on the Arganesson server, and it's a show not suitable for kids because we're very frank and use vocabulary that's interesting. And we zerk through quests usually, or we completely forget how to do anything in DDO. It depends on the night. And
again, you dirty zerger.
And we have a lot of fun, though. A lot of fun. It's like I've described it before as having it's like a quilting circle or a wine night or like knitting night with like your lady friends. Only we're playing DDO and talking salty. So it's a lot of fun. So you can follow me on twitch.tv/BonnieBew if you want to watch it as we're live. You can also look at my channel, Bonnie View, on YouTube and see the archived videos because we have like all of them archived there, the old adventures. Come and join us because it's a lot of fun. Like, trust me, it's fun. But no kids allowed.
No kids allowed.
No kids. Kids, get off the lawn.
Well, yeah. Well, kids shouldn't be up that late anyway, right?
Kids should not be up that late. We have gotten flack though because like apparently Australian kids are up and we're like poo on the Australians. You know they're like jerks anyhow. So no kids allowed unless they're Australian.
Wow, Bonnie! Wow.
No, when I say jerks, it's to actually mean other words. Like it's a substitute for other words. Australians are maybe a little bit more, relaxed about certain things, and maybe it is appropriate for the Australian kids. It's kind of like Scottish kids.
Wow, you're just digging yourself in deeper, aren't you?
I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
You little buddy.
It is a great show, though. I really enjoy watching it. I don't often watch it. I do watch it live sometimes, but I usually watch the replay of it. But I really enjoy it. You guys do have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like the language would be a bit strong for me.
Oh yeah, Finally, if you would be offended in like 2 minutes, probably.
We're so offensive. We just really.
You do work a little blue. I will give you that.
It is a little bit blue. It might, yeah.
But it's funny.
Sometimes it's light blue. Sometimes it's navy.
Right. Then let's head into our weekend gaming then. And Drac, what were you up to?
I did a lot this week, actually. Over on Kenneth, I had a druid that was I want to say I was level 9, I think, and it was like this weird druid rogue combination that I made for some like weird reason. And I never played it at all, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to create a brand new druid, so I started at level 7. My actual goal for this druid is going to be, drumroll, I'm going to make another Wolflock.
Woohoo!
So yes, because I'm having so much fun on my Wolflock over on Arganesson, I am going to make another one. So I'm right now doing all the harbor stuff, just doing all that just for favor, of course, because I'm over level because I started at 7. Right now I'm all druid. I have no warlock at all yet. The reason why I'm going all druid to start out with is I want to get to level 8 to where I can get the winter wolf form. And then once I get the winter wolf, I'm going to start doing the warlock levels and work on that. So we'll see how it goes. And I built it a little different than the one I have over on Arganesson, so we'll see which one kind of plays better.
Why, are you going to do a Phalok instead of a...
Oh, heck no. Are you kidding me?
Do you still shoot fireballs from your
Heck yeah, I shoot fireballs.
Okay. I was like, well, as long as you didn't change that,
no.
it's okay.
What would be the point of a Wolflock if you don't shoot
otherwise,
fireballs?
we're talking Crystal Pepsi here,
Hey,
that's right.
See, because
you like Crystal Pepsi.
See, because if you were a Phalok, then you'll be blasting out Sonic Blast and Actually, I guess they use Force Blast instead, but close enough to a Sonic Blast that it would feel like a Sonic Blast.
It's Sonic and combo.
Just no.
Force or...
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so a Sonic Blast, which is appropriate for a howl from a wolf.
I shoot things in the face with a fireball.
I think I'm going to have to create a wolf flock after all this.
And when you're done shooting them in the face, you dig a hole in the dirt and bury them.
Or pee on them, whichever.
Does. Or pee on them to show dominance.
Whichever. Like Lessa always says when she's on her wolf, you have to show your dominance every once in a while.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you have to try not to get fleas, which she always fails to do.
She always gives me fleas, and she
is the most
does really bad things to my wolf too, but we won't discuss that because we
won't talk about that either.
I still shiver at some of the things that happens to my wolf.
Post-traumatic disorder.
That's right. So yeah, like I said, I'm in the harbor right now doing all that stuff, running that. So as soon as I hit level 8, I'm going to go ahead and get my Winter Wolf form, and then going to concentrate on the Warlock's level. So we'll see what happens with that. Then the only thing I did over on Cannith is my Rogue that is at level 8. That's the one that I'm running with my friend who is a wizard.
Hold on. You said the only thing you did on Cannith? I thought the Wolf Flock and all that stuff was on Cannith.
I said the only other thing I did.
Oh, only other thing. Oh, yes. Sorry.
That's all right. We did the House Jarasco. We are still doing those quests. We did Red Willow's Ruin on hard and the Grave Robber on hard. And as we were running Red Willows, I told my friend I have not ran that quest in like forever because I always forget about that quest. And I always forget how fun that quest is, actually.
I'm not even sure what Red Willows is.
And one of my favorite little scimitars comes out of there.
Oh, we're going to have to do that next week. You know that.
I was just going to say it. Now, I bet Pine Leaf has never done that quest, have you?
No, so let's schedule that for Wednesday.
Well, that's what we'll do Wednesday.
It's like they call it the Takorsha family blade, like as if it belongs to these drow people, but it's really the Pink Bottle family blade. I use it on my character from Z Pink Bottle because it's got a pink gem in it. It also has nice stats, nice crit range.
Right.
And other than that, I did some stuff with you, which you will talk about, as you always do. Then, of course, I did play some tabletop games. I did the King of Chocolate, which we talked about. And then I did another mystery game, which I'm not going to say the title of, because, once again, I can't mention the title until the game comes out. But the game is coming out this week, so the review should be up this week.
Oh, okay.
So another teaser for you. So, Pine Leaf, what did we do, and what were you up to?
Well, we will begin with what I did with you, and we decided to take our iconics out and finish up with gnome work. First, we did search and rescue, and I think I lost count how many times I got killed in that run.
I know, poor Pine Leaf. I was like, dude, what? Oh, you poor thing.
No, the monster looks at me askance, and I die. And it wasn't even the Medusa.
It's like, I'm like, why are you so squishy? Why are you dying so much?
Die.
And then do you even want to talk about, after we finish the quest, I told Pine Leaf, I said, we can go back and do the optional now.
No!
I think that was pretty much Pine Leaf's reaction after we got in there.
We got about 10 feet in there, I think, before we got killed.
Yeah, poor Pine Leaf went around that corner. The first corner you go around that has all the drows, and he was like dead. And I'm like, dude. And he's like, okay, I'm done with this quest.
Curiosity satisfied.
This is just the option, right? Okay, I've seen it. I'm good.
Yeah, those drow are the extra mean drow.
Yeah, they are.
They put some extra vinegar in those drow when they made them.
They are the bad touch drow for sure.
The bad touch drow.
Then after that, we switched to our level 20 characters that we used to run with each other so that we could have a chance to do good intentions. And if I remember, that didn't exactly go swimmingly, despite the fact that we were a few levels above it.
Again, why do you die so much, Pine Leaf?
Especially since this is a character that I used to play every week.
Exactly. I mean, on your...
What killed you the most?
What did kill you the most in Good Intentions? Probably...
I'm trying to remember Good Intentions because I think my brain's trying to excise it out.
All the animated objects.
That's right. That's the animated objects quest.
The arcane.
The arcane ones.
The arcane ones just like ripped through him. I was like, there's an never mind, you're dead.
That's the nasty part.
Yeah.
That's right. My magic resistance was non-existent.
And they will zap you.
Right. So after that, I said, okay, my curiosity has been satisfied with me.
I've seen no more, and it is good. Next. Horrifying me.
Yes. So therefore, I now went on to my dwarf, which is the next race in my doing all the races with the Warlock through Temple of Elemental Evil. And the dwarf has the little bit of challenge where I start out with this -2 in charisma, but I do get...
Well, it makes sense. You're a stinky dwarf, so...
Right. I think this might even be the first time I've played a dwarf in DDO, because I think I've been avoiding that race all this time.
Well, why would you want to, is my question.
Well, it's because I made it a goal to play all the races through the temple, so therefore that's what I'm doing. So I created that, and while running it, because I do in the first week as usual, because I start out with no money, I decided to do my usual run through clearing out the first level. And the highlight there was that the golden orb of death dropped.
Which is crazy. That's just crazy. You're not like Drac at all.
The RNG likes him.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to do
I
with
think
the
I've
golden
never seen
orb
one
of
drop,
death,
basically.
of course, what I'm going to do with the golden orb of death, I'm not completely sure, but I tried fighting with it some, and it's just like, okay, because I mainly do blasts, and I'm either doing blasts or actually with the dwarf, I'm tending to be relying more on the quarterstaff, and the extra damage from the quarterstaff seems to be doing me good because the orb mainly helps you when you're casting spells.
What pack does your dwarf have?
Do you really want to know?
Do you really have to ask that question?
Yeah, you really have to ask.
What?
Hey,
You have the great one?
No, for all these.
Oh, you're Fae?
He's always a Feylock. He knows no difference.
I'm pretty much almost always a Feylock too now.
But
I've done them all.
I've
done them all. I mean, I have at least one of every pack right now, but I tend to go towards the Fey pact, but I like to use the aura instead and just burst everything.
That's what I was using, was mainly with the dwarf. I was mainly using the aura.
And the orb can be handy because usually you don't just pick them up out of random loot. They're always named things. So they typically have an augment slot. So sometimes you can slot an augment for a spell power thing that you maybe needed for.
But remember, this is a character that is
a new one.
Fresh out of character creation, because...
But see, you don't have Drax RNG luck. You're going to get like all the good things out of the chest. So, next week you'll just pull some really great augments.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'll go... Because right now the only ways because I don't know of any good ways of getting augments, because from the auction house? Not likely with this character, because I'm not going to have enough money to do such
cool
thing.
Thing about them is if you happen to do you usually do pure races rather than multi-classing.
Well, for this particular one, I have to anyway.
If you do multi-class, orbs count as shields. So for cases like if you splash things with like paladin or fighter levels, and you have one of those defensive stances that require shield or heavy armor, the orb in your offhand will count as a shield.
Oh, that's what I was doing wrong then with the orb. I was treating it as a weapon instead of as a shield.
It's kind of like shield. It's usually it doesn't do things to really as damaging. It's not like a 2-weapon fighting kind of thing. It's like a bonus to your powers.
So I would have to then get a one-handed weapon to use in my right hand and put in the orb, and that'll help.
Yeah. One hand to like hold one weapon to like actually do any kind of fighting with, or to like buff up some spell things that you want buffed up. And then the orb in your offhand, usually the orb gives you pluses to resistances, so it usually acts as like a plus to your saves and things. And I think it adds to your armor like a shield does. To extend, and it has other bonuses.
That explains the abilities that I saw in it then. All right, so I'll have to take another look at that before I go into the dungeon and see what I'm going to do with that. Very well. Now, as for tabletop gaming, I completed the quest I was doing on called the Temple of Elemental Dragon in Descent Road to Legend, and that one was really fun quest in there. It was a tricky quest in there, but it has a boss fight where you actually had to take some risks in order to try to weaken the boss. Yeah, so it was a really nice adventure on there, and I think that's probably the best of the side quests that they have in there. And I also ran through a print-on-demand co-op adventure that was done for Descent called Forgotten Souls. Now, I had ordered this when I originally ordered Descent, and I had never gotten around to running because as I said last week, they sat on the shelf for 18 months before I got around to actually playing them. So now I finally got around to doing that, and sort of an interesting twist on how they were trying to find a co-op version of the game to try and see what was the best way to doing it. And I see a lot in there that eventually went into their decisions on what to do with the Road to Legend. What they learned worked and what they learned didn't work, and I'm sure that all went into the design for Road to Legend. And I got a new game actually arrived just yesterday. It was called Octodice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, have you ever heard of Octodice?
No, I haven't. What makes me think of Tentacle Party, so
yeah.
That sounds like fun.
All right, so Octodice is, you could think of it as a Yahtzee-style dice game where you roll, but it has a couple of twists to it. Because there are two types of dice, one with numbers and the other one has your types of actions. And the idea is to try to mix actions with the numbers in such a way that will score you the most points, of course. And in this one, when you roll, because then how in Yahtzee you roll your dice, then you can either sit on what you do or you could re-roll everything or anything in between. When this game, every time you roll, for each of your 3 rolls, you have to take 2 of them. Put them aside, exactly 2 of them, put them aside, and then roll the rest of them. So first you got to save 2, then roll 6, then save 2 and roll 4, then save 2 more, then roll 2. So therefore you have to decide, you don't like any of those dice? Well, find some way to make it work because you're going to have to keep 2 of those.
They're like, suck it up, Buttercup, take your dice.
Yes. And that's it for what I did. So Bonnie, what were you up to?
Ooh, what was I up to? Well, I did Ladies' Night as usual. On Thursday night on Argonesson. I didn't actually do any playing on Cannith this week, which is crazy because it's my main server. Instead, I mainly was I've started kind of capping some characters on all the other servers, trying to prepare for maybe one day doing a legendary Shroudpalooza tour and going to all the servers and doing legendary Shrouds.
I wondered if you were still thinking about doing that.
Which requires me getting all these characters I have on servers that I don't really play on to cap, and then turning them into a character that I can actually do legendary Shroud. So that means I'm pretty much reincarnating everybody. I've capped my characters on Thelanis and Galanda, but that was a while back. But this week I worked on my Wayfinder character. I worked on my Sarlona, I think, or the 2. And then I played a little bit on Argonesson. So I got a level on Wayfinder. I did Haunted Halls of Evening Star on Wayfinder and got a Lantern Ring, which is nice. If you choose that thing in the Tainted... was it Tainted Soul Tree for the Warlock?
Tainted Scholar.
Where it changes your Tainted Scholar tree, where you can choose Utter Dark Blast and it changes your force damage into light damage.
Right.
Lantern Ring is, I think, spiffy for that as a go-to when you don't have a lot of gear on a server. If you can get one of those and then get enough black stone stuff out of Haunted Hall runs to upgrade it, you have a nice light, like plus 144 light spell power, plus 18% crit chance for your light spells. That is a level 26 item, and some other stuff too. But isn't that enough? So I got one of those on Wayfinder, so I was really pumped about that. And I tried to do that on Sarlona and did not have any luck. But I did do a couple quests there. And then on Argonesson, I've been doing my daily struggle, which is to try to make Sword of Shadows that I got from the anniversary trade-in. trying to make that heroic sort of Shadows into an epic sort of Shadows for the Blade Forged Paladin that I'm playing for Ladies' Night. So I have a scroll and I have a shard, which is supposedly the hardest part to get. But I don't have the seal. And this is the old epic crafting system where you used to have to get a scroll, a shard, and a seal for the named heroic version of the item, and then you put them all into an epic altar in the 12. I keep wanting to call it house something, but it's in the 12. And then you crunch them together, and then it makes you a brand new epic weapon baby, or an epic item baby. And so I keep doing Thrask Arena, which is Vaughn 1 in House Kundarak, because that's where the drop rate for the seal of the Sword of Shadows is supposed to be the highest. And every day I do a run, and I'm having basically Drac luck getting the seal I need.
Stupid RNG.
That's my video. And tabletop, I didn't actually do any tabletop this week. I would have had I gone to visit my family for 4th of July like my original plans were. We would have played some Munchkin and Exploding Kittens and The Last Word. That seems to be what everybody's into lately. But I did do mobile versions. I was having a day, so I did the mobile version of Elder Sign. Because sometimes you just need to clear your head.
Hold on. Clearing your head with Cthulhu?
Sometimes you just need to go a little insane and clear your head.
Sometimes life gets so crazy, you just need to kind of go up in a face-to-face battle with like the great old ones and risk insanity. So that's pretty much looking up if that happens.
How's the digital version of that play?
I like the digital version. I think the dicing, the difference is on your board game, you can have house rules for how you treat your dice a little bit, and if you have to, what you can set aside and how many you can set aside, I think sometimes, and what you have to reroll and what you have to sacrifice to reroll. Because I feel like when I first saw Elder Sign, it was on the Will Wheaton show on tabletop, and so then I looked into the game, and it seems to me that they were a little bit more loose with the dice rolling than the mobile version forces you to be. But the neat thing is you can solo play it if you want to and play against the AI, and you can do all the different 4 different people and play, or you can take turns and stuff. So that's a nice aspect of it. So I really enjoy it because it's still just as painful when everybody dies and goes crazy, and it puts things in perspective. If life gets stressful, just go try and stop the great old ones, and that'll put it all into perspective. Your troubles seem small then. That's pretty much my week.
Right. We currently have 24 supporters on Patreon, assuming they didn't all leave after this. If you would like to help support DDO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Drac will mention your...
I knew you were going to read that.
I have none of your patrons or kids in Australia or Scotland.
Well, we don't anymore if we did.
Sorry.
All right. There you will find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest with us here on DDO Players News. I'm trying to figure out what on earth was this note that you put up here. I
was going to talk to you about at the beginning of the show, and I forgot to talk to you about that. Some of the money that we get on Patreon is going to be earmarked for. I talked to Anding, who is the lead director of the Players Alliance, which is the site that we are a member of. And we are going to use some of our Patreon money to upgrade our cameras that we use at conventions so we can get better audio and video at conventions. The camera setup I have now is not conducive for convention coverage because the microphone is not that great, and I cannot do an external microphone on my camera. So we're looking at getting a nice digital video camera that has an external microphone. So we are going to use some Patreon money for that. So that is where you fine folks that listen to the show come in. If you would like to help us out with that, support us on Patreon.
Then let's head into feedback if we had any, but we didn't have any emails.
Oh, we'll have some feedback next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have
Very
feedback
well.
next week. Sorry.
Probably from Scotland or Australia, just saying.
Scotland,
Well,
Australia.
if you would like to send us an email in response to some of the things that were said this week, you can send it to podcast@ddoplayers.com. You can also follow us at Twitter, the Players Alliance @Players Ally, DDO Players @DDO Players, Draculetta @Draculetta_72, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, and you can follow our guest Bonnie Bew @BonnieBew, and also on Twitch at twitch.tv/BonnieBew. You can join our Steam group. And the Players Alliance has 4 live shows. Every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locho Players News. Every other Saturday after Locho Players News, we have Tales of the Free Folk. And on the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locho Academy After School. You can join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for this week. And this is Pineleaf News reminding you to quest responsibly.
And we're very sorry, Scotland and Australia.